Hello everyone, I am Divyapreet. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Mains is around the corner, and whether you are preparing for Mains 2025 or Mains 2026, it is very important to understand what actually makes a good answer. And the best source to understand this is through the topper's answer copies. So, in this video, let us discuss and analyze those answers to understand what should we incorporate in our answers to make them appear as a topper's answer. So, let's get right into it and see how do we do this. First thing that you would observe is any topper's answer addresses the core demand of the question. For example, let us look at this one. This is Shruti Sharma's copies. She was AIR rank 1 in the year 2021. So let us see how she has written this answer and understand how does it address the demand of the question. So the question says the Nehru Report of 1928, the first effort to frame a constitution was nothing more than a bunch of uneasy compromises critically analyzed. So, first, she introduces the answer, a very simple and brief introduction, but to the point, which says very clearly that Nehru Report was put forward by a committee headed by Motilal Nehru, and it was in response to a challenge by Lord Chelmsford. So, clear, crisp introduction which exactly hits the demand of the question. And then if you see in the very next paragraph, she has addressed this first point. It was the first effort to frame a constitution, and that is what she has talked about. First effort to frame the constitution. It laid down the demands, political structure, and defined the rights. So, addressing the first part of the question and then moving on to the next part, which is uneasy compromises. And you see, she has mentioned all the uneasy compromises which were between British and Indians, between Congress and the Muslim League, socialist and the conservatives. And finally, there is next whatever happened in that particular progress. So it says, due to the contradictions, Jinha put forward the 14 demands, and Nehru and Bose led the Indian Independence League. So if you see, all the compromises have been mentioned in the answer, and what happened next with because of these compromises has also been provided, exactly meeting the demand of the question. So if you see, next part of this is something which has not essentially been asked, but still there has been an attempt to tell, okay, it wasn't just compromises, but something else was also there, and it was a major breakthrough in these formats: fundamental rights, and the demand for responsible government, similar. And then finally, if you see, it is concluded in uh, a forward looking manner, which talks about it was a stepping stone in the formation of Swaraj. So if you look at this answer, it completely satisfies what has been asked. It was asked to talk about that it was the first effort, done. The second was uneasy compromises, again done. No frivolous points, no beating around the bush, just to the point, crisp answer. So, first and foremost, if we have to take away something, it is to address the core demand of the question. The next thing would be that your answer should show depth of knowledge. Your content should be rich. Let us look at this answer. This is from Aditya Srivastav's copy. Aditya Srivastav was again AIR 1 in, I think, the year 2023. So this is his copy, and this question was, despite being destructive in nature, volcanoes are critical for the existence of human life on Earth. Elucidate. So you see, he has mentioned, this is a part of the answer, and this talks about the importance of volcanoes with respect to human life. So again, you see the points are showing that the person knows what he is talking about. So first point is bring minerals to the earth's surface, supported by an example, iron ore in Kudremukh. Black soil due to weathering, cotton cultivation. So with all these points, you understand that the person actually has knowledge of that answer, of that particular question. So again, if you see volcanoes, since it is related to disaster, the the topper has then talked about Sendai framework, which is a very essential framework when it comes to disaster management. So you see that there is even though this is a GS1 answer, this is a GS1 answer, and Sendai framework essentially is a part of disaster management belonging to GS paper 3, yet it has been incorporated here because it enhances your answer and it is relevant to the question. So, whatever you write, ensure that it is relevant to the question and shows that your content is across papers and you have a grasp on the subject. Next, if you look at this copy, this answer, again, this is Aditya Srivastav's answer. The question was on civil service reforms, and it said must go beyond recruitment and standardized training to cope with present day challenges. So, first and foremost, introduction mentions a book, Why Nations Fail. Then you see why it is not enough, the recruitment and standardized training is not enough. Why? What are the challenges? Modern challenges, cybersecurity. So you see there is points and then example. Here you would see mention of Puja single case in Jharkhand, politicization due to inverted structure, NK Saxena committee. Similarly, you come here, you see there is an example of case study Singapore model, then second ARC, Vora committee. So you are mentioning points which are relevant to your heading. So here you are saying what is the need? The need is to adopt this approach. Why? You mention this is the approach that the Home Ministry to tackle nexus issues. It is not your opinion. It is some committee's opinion, and that is what you mention. So it enhances your answer. It tells that you have the depth of knowledge with respect to this particular issue and shows that you are a well read person. So that is what we understand from this. Again, similarly, if you look at this question also, PLFS data, it has been clearly mentioned with respect to the question. The question was wide gap between the number of females graduating every year and those entering the workspace is an issue of paramount importance that needs to be addressed. So again, you have direct data in the introduction which explains what is the introduction, what is the question, sorry. So, introduction says India has a very high ratio of 50-50 among graduates, but in the labor force, this drops to 1:2 for women and men. So, directly you have satisfied the demand of the question. You have shown to the examiner that you understand what is asked. So, then again, you present your points. You are also presenting this hypothesis, feminization U hypothesis, which shows that you also know your theory. This U hypothesis, which means basically that labor force in this phase is less due to secondary education. So, presenting such points, presenting such arguments clearly shows that you have your content and you have that knowledge which is required for an officer. So the next point which we understand directly from the above discussion is that we need to validate the point using data, examples, reports, and other things. So if you look at this question, look at this answer, it is talking about challenges to the concept of nation. So you mentioned terrorism and external propaganda. Of course, it is a challenge to the concept of nation. You add an example. Communalism, again, Muzaffarnagar riots, you add an example. So, with every point, if you are presenting an example which supports your argument, it shows that your arguments are not hollow, they are backed by something. So, this is very important to put examples with your arguments. Similarly, if you look here in this answer, it was talking about pharmaceutical industry and its significance with respect to public health. So here you have connected the cheap medicine with the goal of SDG 3. So it is not an example, but it is a way to show that your argument is valid. Again, diplomacy usage, Team 9 initiative, generic drugs, welfare state, Article 38. So, when you support your arguments with such verified data, facts, and reports or initiatives, your answer becomes more valuable. Similarly, here, this is a question on SCO, and even though it is not directly asked, but the topper has mentioned 40 SCO has 40% of population, 25% of GDP, and 2 permanent UNSC members. Now, what happens when you do this? The examiner immediately knows that this represents the importance of SCO in present times. So, without extra words, without a lot of explanation, directly you have explained that okay, SEO is important. Why is this? And let us discuss further what the question talks about. Next, if we have to understand, you will see that a topper's answer is always very balanced. You will not find them taking extreme stances. Let us see through this question. It talks about Bhagat Singh and his revolutionary ideology and forms of revolutionary struggle. So the uh, topper has talked about the revolutionary ideology, the goals of revolution, forms of struggle, everything is there. But something extra is here, which is the counter idea, or yet the topper says his contribution was significant yet incomplete. Why? 2 3 points are given. Why was it incomplete? And finally, you are still concluding it on a positive note, supporting Bhagat Singh's idea, saying yet he played a very important role in emotional appeal to masses and raised the banner of sacrifice. So even though you presented a counter view, you did not end on a negative note. You changed the narrative again and talked about how it supported India. So you see, this essentially was not asked in the question, but you still provide a counter idea, you still provide a different point of view to show that you can think in multiple dimensions. Similarly, if you look at this answer by Shruti Sharma, it talks about nation states. So when you talk about nation states, this half of the answer talks about a nation state as a solution, and all of it is mentioned. The question did not ask exactly what were the limitations, but she has still provided the limitations of nation states mentioned in a crisp 2 3 points, and finally concluded in a appropriate manner. So you always need to have a balanced approach when it comes to writing answers. Extreme stances are not very appropriate. Next is constitutional and legal provisions, using basically constitutional and legal provisions when it comes to your answers, especially when it comes to papers like GS paper 2. So if you see, This question on sex work directly you can relate to Article 19(1)(g), which is right to profession. So pinpointed article enhances your answer. Next, if you look here, it talks about District Legal Services Authority. So Article 41 you mentioned, it talks about free legal aid, and 31A, which is also relevant over here. So you mention both these articles, and the examiner directly knows that, okay, the person knows what they're talking about and knows what the constitutional provisions are. Similarly, if you look at these answers, this is talking about menace of paid news, often which is talked about in news. So you directly hit with section 123 of RPA. So such provisions of law and the constitution, they really enhance your answer and make it look like someone who knows the constitution, who knows Indian polity, is writing these answers. Similarly, for pressure groups, you can talk about Article 19(1)(b). So right to association, yeah. So again, this answer we have already discussed, but you see the usage of provisions of the constitution, and that over here, this is a case. Supreme Court cases are also important. Committees, second ARC, Vohra committee, all of these, they enhance your answer. So cases, committees, articles, acts, wherever necessary, wherever appropriate, try to use all of these. Next, that we can understand from toppers copies is having a forward looking conclusion, having a solution oriented approach. Why this helps? Because this tells the examiner that, hey, I can identify the problem, but I also come with solutions. No one wants someone who just nitpicks on problems and keep telling, okay, here are the challenges, this is the problem. But you want someone who can, you want someone who can move from those challenges and propose solutions. So that's why your conclusions should always be solution oriented. They should have a positive outlook. So look at this. The question talked about women with low levels of education in rural areas, or in, so basically, women with low level of education from rural areas are relatively more active in the labor market compared to women in urban areas. What explains this anomaly? So the answer in the beginning explained whatever this question wanted, and towards the end concluded with this anomaly can be solved by, and gave some points with also an example by Zomato, like period leaves. And final conclusion, Maternity Benefit Act is an important legal initiative in this direction. So you see, even though directly the question did not ask for you to provide any solution to it, but your conclusion talked about how this can be solved. So this makes a good answer. Similarly, ways to improve, you can mention this was a question on sustainability and waste management. So again, you see there are points on how to improve that. If you look at this again, discuss in light of recent move government in revamping the CRS system in the country. The question does not directly ask for measures or something, but the answer provides a way ahead, which is how to go forward about this particular issue, way ahead for reforms. So you will always see that these answers have a positive outlook, they provide solutions. Next is a very important part of answer writing, which is presentation. Now look at these two images. Is it very readable? These are answers of any general aspirant, okay? You see answers are starting from one border, ending on the other. Lines are there in the middle, not very clear as to what these are trying to emphasize on. Now you look at these answers. You can easily understand what the presentation style is. There is a subheading, there are points leaving some indentation. Then, if there is an example to be mentioned, it is further inside the indentation line of the numbering. This does nothing but it improves visibility of your answer. It makes your answer more readable, it makes your answer more presentable. So the examiner quickly can scan through it and understand what you're trying to say. On the other hand, when you look at something like this, it becomes a little different. The content might be appropriate, the content might just be very good, but it is not very appealing to the eye. So presentation also matters, indentation matters, how you are writing your points, where you are emphasizing on examples, how you are underlining the keywords. All of these things make your answer better. So these were some of the elements that we can learn from a topper's answers. Quickly, if we have to recap, first one was addressing the demand of the question. Second was rich content. It should be showing depth of knowledge. Then your answers should have a balanced approach, balanced answers without extreme stances. And further, it should have a forward looking conclusion, solution oriented approach. Presentation finally matters, and you should also try to incorporate data, examples, reports, committees, cases, whatever supports your arguments. So, overall, we can understand this should be our approach towards answer writing. And to achieve this, the easiest, I might not, sorry, I shouldn't say easiest, but the approach is by practicing. Practice as much answer writing as you can, and you will see yourself writing such answers sooner than later. So, all the very best, and I'll see you in the next one.